The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. These Best You EXPO talks are recorded in front of a live audience in a live event. We highly recommend that you focus on the message. As they say, what you focus on expands. Enjoy. And Marie Gawen. The title of her talk is How to Help a Young Person Live a Flourishing Life. They say you can't put an old head on young shoulders, but maybe you can. Giving positive guidances, tools and strategies to deal with what comes their way, young people can be better prepared for living their lives. Enjoy.
Okay, everybody. Thank you very much indeed for coming to listen to me this morning. What I'm here to talk to you about is how to have a flourishing life. And although this is in the Inspiring Young People room, these things are actually applicable to anybody. So I think everybody can learn something for themselves as well today. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and how the talk's going to work out this morning. My name is Marie Gawen, and I have a small social enterprise called Unlock Your Wellbeing. There, what I do is I do life coaching and I do lots of health and well-being talks and workshops, including quite a lot to do with mental health recovery and mental health awareness. Today's talk, I've kind of been a little bit overambitious possibly. We're going to talk about the following. First is good things. The second is reframing. The third is well-being. Resilience, and then I'm going to finish up with a little story for you to go away with, okay? So, young people today, what are they like? Okay? I would say, and I think probably everybody agrees, and the research tells us that actually young people today have got unprecedented pressures on them. And very recent research, only in the last month, shows that actually 70% of young people worry every day, and that's not really, going to be too good for them. They've got lots of things to be getting on with and not filling their mind with lots of worries on a daily basis. There's actually been a 70% increase in depression and anxiety amongst young people. And for people who do develop depression, 60% of them develop it at around age 14. Levels of self-harm are at an all-time high. We can truly say that there's actually a mental health crisis for our teenagers. So, rather than holding up our hands and saying, oh no, it's all gone wrong, we're all doomed, what can we do about it? What tips, techniques and strategies can we use for everybody, for families, for schools, and for the young people themselves? So my number one tip, technique, and strategy, all rolled into one, is what I'm calling good things, okay? And why I'm calling it good things, if you look in the literature, you'll see it referred to as gratitude. But what I found when I work with English people is people don't like the word gratitude very much. It's a little bit too Californian, a little bit too American. So using the phrase good things gets around that, because I don't want any barriers. I want everybody to do this because it is so amazing. Okay? Why? Why am I suggesting that you do this? The research has shown that by practicing good things, you actually change the neural pathways into positive areas of your brain. Now that we can do our MRI scanning and such, we can actually see that this is happening. Some of the fantastic benefits of this are that people have an increase in their self-esteem, and isn't that what we want all our young people to have? It reduces all the toxic emotions, it reduces stress. Again, perfect for everything that we want our young children to have. It improves their sleep. They're at an age where their sleep can be a bit all over the place. And what it increases is calm and happiness and well-being. I'll just say now, in case anybody's worried, on your chairs you'll have one of my leaflets. If you want a copy of these slides, email me and I'll send you them, because I've got quite a lot to get through. I've been, as I said, a bit over-ambitious, I think. Okay, so what is it? What is this good things that we can do? What I want you to do is every day write down 3 things that are good things that have happened to you that day, okay? This is best achieved in a notebook with a pen. Bit old-fashioned, but there are apps and you can use apps, so if that's your preferred method, use it. But the research actually shows that the physical writing down of those good things is more effective than using an app or a dictating machine. Now, I've worked with lots of families where that's had to be the case because the person hasn't been able to write, and we've used a dictating machine. But what you want to do is to have a way of recording it that you can get it back, you can get back to it, okay? So, what sort of things might you write down? Well, you might start off with the big things. Oh, my dad's the greatest, my dog is the funniest dog. If you only saw what my cat did yesterday, it's amazing. And my friends and my house, fantastic. So those are all the big things that you might start writing down. Then after a while, you'll start noticing the smaller things. So maybe you ran for the bus and you managed to catch it. It wasn't one of those awful days that started off, I missed the bus and it all went pear-shaped from then on. So that might be something that you write down. You managed to catch the bus. Maybe you had a lovely muddy walk with your dog. You were out in the fresh air and you all got a little bit dirty and a little bit grubby and it was great fun. At break time, maybe you had a good laugh with one of your friends. Maybe today your teacher encouraged you and you actually got over a bump. Maybe, you were not really getting some maths thing and today you did. Maybe there was something about the class that day that was helpful. Maybe you got home and, your favourite meal was there. Sausage and mash, fish and chips, lasagna, whatever it was your favourite tea. And maybe you had a lovely bubble bath as well. Small things, not necessarily the big things. Now, I've spoken about the actual writing, and I've spoken about 3 things. Now, I'm quite a little bit going to push you and say, can you do 5 things? Because it's that bit when you stretch yourself that you get the biggest benefit. Okay? So 3 things is probably fairly easy to do every day. 5 things you're going to have to think a little bit longer and a little bit harder. And it's that scrabbling around for where's the good that is what's doing the neural pathway changes. So stretching yourself to do 5 things is even better. And the harder you think, as I say, that's better too. Now, you've got them written down every day. After a week, you've got a week's worth of lovely things that have happened just to you. After a month, wow, the evidence is overwhelming. Life is good. Some parts of your life are good. You've got the evidence there in front of you. Now, the other day, I was looking for a notebook for another reason, and I came across one that I'd obviously started writing my good things down. I don't even know when it was. I don't even know what year it was, because there was nothing particularly in it to tell me what was happening, because that's not the point of it. It's the little things. And I just sat there with the book, and I just felt this lovely warm glow. It was just so lovely. And you can achieve this by recording your good things. Now, this is an interesting part. What happens sometimes is you think, I've got to write 5 things tonight. What am I going to write? I haven't really got 5 things to write. And it makes a change in your behaviour because you think, I've now got to do something to write down tonight. So you might think, I know what I'll do. I'll ring my granny up. I haven't spoken to my granny for a while, and I know she loves it when I just call her for no good reason. I'll give her a call. or you might do another good thing for somebody else. So not only is it changing your neural pathways, it starts to change your behavior as well, because you've got to write these things down. And it's all about changing your focus and where you focus and where your attention is, because there's enough bad news in the world, there's enough struggles, there's enough depression, there's enough anxiety. We don't need any more. We need to change our focus to what's good. Okay? And another thing about it is it can either be private or you can share it. Now, when I've worked with families, what they've done is they've got together, they've made a little family ritual, Saturday afternoon, they all come along with their little books, I think the youngest I've worked with is about 8 years old, and they've all come along and they've got around the table and they've shared whatever, 2 or 3 things each. What a lovely thing to do as a family, to sit and just talk about this week, this is that's been good for me. Because quite often, I know with my kids, come and sit down here, I want a word with you, was not ever going to end well. It was not going to be, let's talk about all the good things. It was going to be about the state of your room and where were you last night? It wasn't going to be good, all right? But this is changing that. It's a family focus on something really good. But again, it can be completely private as well, and that is up to you. To kind of stretch this good things, celebrating achievements, okay? So you're writing the good things down, but to cement them, how can you celebrate just the little small achievements that you have? It doesn't have to be a big deal. It might be a little jig. It might be a high five. It might just be a little phrase you use to yourself. I did good then. Whatever. Appreciate others. Maybe something that you've written down. You said, I had such fun with my friend today. Did you tell your friend that you really enjoyed that time with them? This reciprocating is also cementing these good things in your brain. Now, kindness to others, compassion, you kind of get in this lovely loop. You're kind to somebody, they smile back at you, you feel good. So strengthen your compassion muscle. Be kind to others. Similarly with volunteering. What are your strengths? Maybe you can swim loads of lengths and you can raise money for something. Maybe you can run a marathon and run in the colours of your favourite charity. Maybe you're great at baking or selling. Maybe you can raise money in that way. Play to your strengths. You'll feel so good when you've done something for somebody else and volunteered. And kindness to yourself, all right? We've mentioned a lot of other people, but kindness to yourself. Now, you try every morning in the mirror, smiling at yourself. At first, it'll look like, ugh. But you try it 2 or 3 times, and before you know it, you've got a great big grin on your face. And what a lovely way to start the day. And also, we're all familiar with this. Press your own like button. We like lots of things on Facebook, don't we? How about having that little word with yourself? I'm okay. I like myself.
If you're interested in sharing your story, sharing your dreams, sharing your ideas in the largest personal development platform, the Best You EXPO, sign up today. Go to www.thebestyouexpo.com or send an email to info@thebestyou.co.
Okay, so moving away now from good things. I told you I was going to be going at 90 miles an hour. We're going to talk about reframing. We all have negative thoughts about ourselves, okay? How can we change them? I'm no good at swimming. Don't let the sentence end there. Up till now. Because we've all watched films, we've all read books where somebody can't achieve something that they want to achieve. And guess what? There's a big plot twist. And it's changed. And that person then can dance, can sing, or whatever else they're wanting to achieve. So your reframe here is, plot twist, I couldn't do it, and I'm going to learn how to do it if it's important to me. Oh dear, I texted my friend 3 times and she's not texted me back. She's not my friend anymore. spiraling, negative thoughts. She hates me, everybody hates me, I don't want to go to school ever again, I'm a failure, it can go very quickly. But what else could it mean? Maybe she's had her phone confiscated by her mum. Maybe she's out of range of a signal. Maybe she's not got any battery. It can mean 101 things. What else could it mean? I'm much fatter than my best friend. Is there another way of looking at that? Is your friend maybe a marathon runner, a cyclist? She's like a whippet, unnaturally thin. Or are you completely the right size and maybe she's not? Has she even, in fact, got an eating disorder? There are lots of ways of looking at things, of challenging yourself to think of things in a different way. So even if that's all you do, there's lots of different ways of reframing, but those 3 there are really great ones to get into the habit yourself of doing, but also to encourage your young people to do. And what I always say to people is, courtroom dramas, we love a courtroom drama. We've got the defence and we've got the prosecution. So in your mind, think about what would the defence be saying? The prosecution was not going to like that one bit because they've got some other evidence over here that they're going to challenge. So kind of have this internal dialogue that's a little bit like, it's a little bit like a courtroom drama. Gosh, it's really loud. Now, anxiety and worrying are things that really our young people are doing to excess, okay? Now, of course, we've only all got here, the human race has only got here because our caveman ancestors were super vigilant. They didn't get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger or whatever other monster was out there. They were super vigilant. Our frontal lobe of our brain has developed as humans, that we've got language, we've got other skills. So it's a very necessary skill. But sometimes it can be like those car alarms when they first came out. Somebody had to barely walk past and the car alarm went off. A leaf would land somewhere on the bonnet and the car alarm would go off. And they needed adjustment. And now they're not like that at all anymore. But even just having that message that you're over-worrying, you're overthinking things, all we need to do is a bit of adjusting. What a message of hope. Not, I don't know why you do all of that, it's just completely unnecessary. No, let's think about what can we do to have a little adjustment here. The brain has allowed us to think, to be able to predict. Amongst animals, we've got these finer skills. So it allows us to think about the future, makes predictions about the future. But unfortunately, if we over-predict and we overthink and we over-predict for the future, all the bad things that might happen, that's not really using it very well. But of course, being able to predict the future means I don't have to prove to you that Brussels sprouts ice cream is probably not a very good idea. I think we can all predict that that's not going to taste very good. Okay? And kind of an interesting way of looking at it also, some people like figures and numbers. So researchers have shown that actually 85% of the worries that we have don't happen at all. Even when they do, 80% of people said, actually, I worried unnecessarily because it was okay. I dealt with it quite well. So that's a tiny fragment of people that have got anything to worry about at all. And something that psychologists often say is, think of anxiety as excitement. It's a challenge, not a threat. And if you think about the bodily reactions to anxiety, the beating heart, the butterflies in the stomach, the dry mouth, the sweaty palms, they're the same whether you're excited or whether you're anxious. So just think, right, body, you're giving me a message. I'm going to interpret it as excitement, not as a worry and not as an anxiety. I'm not asking everybody to be like a Pollyanna and everything's great and everything's rosy all day long and all our lives are great. We do need to have that emotional diversity, but we're wanting to aim for a kind of a middle, not lots of spikes up and down. Right, moving on swiftly, 5 ways to well-being. In 2008, the government asked the New Economics Foundation to go away and find 5 things to go away and find what were the things that people could do to improve their well-being. So they went away and did a massive meta-analysis of all the data, okay? And they came back with 5 actions. And these actions are connect, very important, connecting with other people in whichever way. Being active. Physical activity is extremely important. Giving, whether that's time or attention or money or whatever, volunteering in some way. Learning. Now, learning not as in being in the classroom all the day, but having that lifelong curiosity. What a big building we're in. I've never been here before. What else is on here? Coming through London, wow, that DLR didn't have a driver on. Whoa, how does that work? Just having that lifelong curiosity. Thinking out, not in all the time. And notice. Notice is about things like mindfulness, but it's also your good things. You're noticing your good things that you're going to write down every night. So it all ties together very nicely. Now I'm going to talk about resilience. Because more than ever do we need people to be resilient. And I've done this in 2 ways. So the first way is what protection can we give people to be resilient before the event? And then I'm also going to talk about after an adverse event, how to help people to bounce back. Okay? So once again, we come to the connecting with people, the close relationships. Do not let your young people get isolated. Encourage them in every way, shape or form to be whatever it is that's of interest to them, to get out and be with people. Preferably face to face, but I know that people can connect on computers and phones and everything as well. Good. Don't let them get isolated. Let them develop this positive view of themselves and their self and their abilities. Praise where it's due. But also, again, the good things comes in here because, again, you've got lots of evidence that good things happen in your life. Being able to manage strong feelings and strong emotions is something we kind of grow out of. We're not all here like terrible twos having a paddy because we're thirsty or hungry or anything else. It's acceptable, and people grow up, and our young people will eventually grow up about this as well. But supporting them and helping them to manage those strong feelings and emotions is really important. And this might be where you might need some intervention from maybe CBT or a counsellor or something like that if it's a real issue. Encouraging good problem solving, good communication skills. We all love a young person who can come up and talk to us, and has that confidence to talk to us. It's just so lovely, isn't it? We love to see that. Encourage that as much as possible. And being able to feel that they're in control. We are their parents, we are their teachers, but they've got to grow their independence as well. Encourage them to know that it's good and they should seek help when it's appropriate. It's a really strong message that people need to get. And you can model that behaviour. You can say, oh gosh, I've got an issue here and I don't know how to deal with it. I'm going to have to find somebody who can help me with this. And let them see you doing that, because that is what we need to do. Not seeing yourself as a victim. Now, this is so important. Why does it always happen to me? It's not fair. All those kind of things that people will say. Don't let them carry on believing it for a moment longer than is necessary. Bad things happen to everybody. Nobody has a perfect life. You might be the first person that that this has happened to, but it's happened to somebody before and it'll happen to somebody again. Getting stuck in that victim mentality is really not good for people. And finding your good things every day is going to help you with that it will lessen their likelihood that they will enter into that way of thinking as well. Oh, gosh, it'll do 1 or 20 or none. Coping with stress in healthy ways. So not alcohol, not drugs, not hysteria, not a great big drama. And you are also modelling that yourself. So if you come home of a night from work and say, oh my God, let me have a bottle of that wine. You know, I've had a terrible, shocking day. You're modelling behaviour that teaches them that, stress equals relieving stress with alcohol. It's not a good message to give, okay? So you're modelling that behaviour. You know, we're not perfect. You know, I'm not asking you to be perfect, but it's just bringing these things to your attention. Finding positive meanings in life despite difficult circumstances. Now, we all watch TV or films or books, or read books or something like that. So having a really positive discussion with something, a storyline maybe that's happening in Coronation Street or EastEnders or whatever that you watch, or you watch a film, every single time there'll be an example of somebody who's had difficult circumstances have somehow come through and they've actually gone on to have a fruitful life. Many, many charities are founded on the fact that something horrible has happened to a family member maybe, and they set up a charity to bring awareness, to prevent it happening to somebody again. And from that, the charities have done amazing work and research and lots of, there's been so many examples of that. And so that's a great message to let people know. And helping others. Knowing that you can help somebody else puts you in a position of thinking, not only am I okay, but I can help somebody else who's maybe not. And that's a really great thing to feel back for yourself.
If you're interested in speaking, exhibiting, or getting involved in the largest personal development expos in the world, contact us today at www.thebestyouexpo.com or send us an email to info@thebestyou.co.
So maybe an adverse event has occurred. Now, this can be anything from your 10-year-old, favourite electronic thing. His brother's just tipped a load of orange juice all over it and it's broken. It might be your 16-year-old just split up with her first boyfriend, whatever. So have a scenario in mind as we go through these. Again, we're coming back to that, not the victim mentality. And it's not always personal. Sometimes we take big events and make them as if it's personal to us, and it's not always. We're tiny specks, actually, in the universe. And learn to let go. All right, that was your favourite toy, but it's happened, and you're going to have to let that go now. You don't want that to be, but it's happened. All right, you've had this breakup with your boyfriend. You didn't want it to. You thought he was great, but it has happened. Let it go. The opposite to let it go is get dragged. Get dragged for your whole life, carrying this, I had a relationship at 16, and it's encumbered my entire life. Let it go. Easy to say, I know. Get support from family and friends. And, sometimes it won't be family. Sometimes the last person they want to talk to is their mum. But ensure that they are talking to somebody. Maybe they've got a favourite auntie. Maybe they do talk to their granddad about stuff they don't talk to you about. Crying is good. Boys should cry. Big boys do cry. It releases tension. It acknowledges that something awful has happened, something upsetting has happened. You've been distressed, and it helps you to let go as well. And then when you get to a place of calm, having those calm and honest reflection times with them, and say, now that it's all calmed down a bit, how can we reflect on what happened? Yes, you put your toy right where your brother's orange juice was. It was a bit inevitable, perhaps. Yes, you have broken up with your boyfriend. It does happen. Young first romances are often very short-lived, but calmly and in a reflective way. And stop blaming others and take some responsibility. Maybe you should not have put your toy right there. What can you learn from this? Maybe next time it'll go in your room on a high shelf if it's really important to you. Maybe I was not actually the best girlfriend, and maybe he's not actually the best boyfriend for me either. do what is possible to do, and then choose how to respond. Okay, we do have a choice in how to respond. We can keep going the hysteria and the drama, or we can let it go and be calm, and it is our choice. Exercise, fantastic for releasing tension. A run around the park, jump up and down on the tambourine, the trampoline, for half an hour. The world's a different place when you get off. Be creative, both with your thinking, but also do something that you really enjoy doing, something that's kind of self-soothing, that you really enjoy. And your aim is to get into something called a state of flow. Now, a state of flow is when you're doing something, and you're so absorbed in doing it that you don't notice that 2 hours has gone. Where did that 2 hours go? It's not the same as automatically driving and thinking, oh my goodness, we're in Manchester, how did that happen? Don't remember any of that journey. That's not flow. That's automatic behaviour. Flow is when you're so absorbed, you're doing, you're actually involved in it. And it's that, you'll all know it, it's that delicious thing when you've just been having such a lovely time, just on your own, just doing something, baking, cooking, gardening, walking, playing with your pet or whatever. It's a lovely place to be. And transform the experience. Let it transform you. Learn from it and grow. Take the wisdom from it. And you might have to help your young child because that might be something that they might struggle to do. But by you being able to point out that actually what we can do is learn from this and we can grow from this and be prepared for another time. Right, just going to go quickly through a few practicalities. Encourage Saturday jobs, encourage paper rounds. Our young children need to be independent. So as soon as they are able to, as soon as they want to, encourage them to get a Saturday job. They're out of your control, they're out of your domain, they've got to live in the real world and they've got to take responsibility and be accountable to other people for their actions. It's a fantastic learning place for young people. So do encourage that. Not all we perhaps sometimes do a bit too much mollycoddling. Allow them to that freedom. Allow them to earn some money for themselves too. Discuss their use of social media. Maybe within your family you might have some rules about meal times, all phones are off, no screen time before an hour before bedtime. Whatever it is that you decide is know all the parental controls, but use evidence because you don't want it to become a battleground where it's just you shrieking. I say from experience. Shrieking and then saying, oh, you know nothing, Mum, you old fogey. I do know nothing, I accept that. Find the evidence so that it's not a battleground as far as possible. Any discussion is better when you're in an activity. So if you want a real heart-to-heart with them, maybe think about a long journey where you're not eyeball to eyeball and it's not that confrontational. You're busy doing something. Oh, let's go and make the Christmas cakes. Come and help me make the Christmas cakes. And whilst you're doing an activity, it's a much better time to have a fruitful and open discussion. And I think you probably all know this, that you get a lot more out of it. Okay? Sleep. Terribly important for our teenagers who do have a shifting sleep rhythm. Okay? But what can you do? Sleep hygiene. Google it. Is their room warm enough, cool enough, dark enough, quiet enough? All those things. Do they take their screens away before bedtime? Do they have that routine there before they go to bed? Are they sleeping when they should be sleeping and not staying up half the night? You know, what is acceptable to you? Again, evidence it because it's not going to be good for them. But quite easily they can slip to sleeping till mid-morning and not going to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning. It happens terribly easily. And create an atmosphere where they feel that they can ask for help. Again, being okay when they drop a bombshell on you rather than screaming, you know, like, and being hysterical yourself. letting them know that they can trust you, that you're not going to go crazy with them, and that they can ask for help from you. If you feel that communication and that ability to ask for help is breaking down, let them know that there are other organisations that can help them. Or maybe their friends or their teacher or somebody at school can help them as well. There are lots of other places to go. They do not need to bottle it up. I'll come on to some organisations in a minute. Very important, can they cook? Can they do their own laundry? Do they know how to make their pocket money last the week or their what they're earning at the supermarket on a weekend? How can they manage their money? Have they got a job like putting the bins out? Do they do it and are they responsible for it? Giving them these are skills so that they will feel confident that when they leave home, whether it's to go to university or whether it's to go live on their own, that they feel confident. They're not going to be anxious and worrying about that. You've kept their skills going. Don't overpraise and don't over-criticise. Either of those camps on that continuum are bad for people. Overpraising, it means nothing in the end, and being overcritical is so damaging to people. So somewhere in the middle, when it's appropriate, praise. When they need picking up on something, pick them up on it, okay? And have fun. I mean, young people are brilliant. I love, they've just got this different energy. They talk a bit differently. They listen to different music. They've got a different opinion. I love being around young people, so just do enjoy them as much as you can. I mentioned organisations. There's an organisation called Young Minds. It's part of the bigger organisation called Mind, which many people will have heard of. SANE is another very good organisation as well. There's something called the Charlie Waller Memorial Trust. Now, they're very interested in going into schools and talking to the whole class and the whole school about emotional well-being. It was formed, talk about what we were talking about before. Charlie Waller was a young man who took his own life, ended his life by suicide. His family set up this trust. They want now to go into schools and talk to people, have those conversations that are difficult with the young people. It's a brilliant organisation. I've got a little bit of their literature if anybody's interested, but you can find them online as well. And Papyrus is another organisation aimed at younger people. They've been doing a lot this week because it's been University Emotional Wellbeing Week or some such thing, I can't remember. They've been doing an awful lot on that. And the Samaritans are for everybody. They're for you if you're pulling your hair out. You don't have to be suicidal. You can be feeling distressed and emotional. They're for everybody. Okay. So I promised you a story, and I'm going to read you a story now. And I will read it because I can't memorise it all. Right, and some of you may be familiar with this. An old Cherokee Indian is teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside me, he said to the boy. It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One wolf is evil, his anger, his envy, his sorrow, his regret, his greed, his arrogance, his self-pity, his guilt, his resentment, his inferiority, lies, he's got false pride, superiority and ego. The other one is a good wolf. He is joy and peace and love and hope and serenity. His humility and kindness and benevolence and empathy. His generosity, truth and compassion and faith. That same fight is going on inside you as well, my grandson, and inside every other person too. So the grandson thought about this for a moment, and he said to his grandfather, "Which wolf is going to win?" And the old Cherokee simply replied to him, "The one you feed. The one you feed." I think it says quite a lot in a nice, simple way, doesn't it? Okay, so just a quick summary of what I've been talking about today, and this is all about empowering our young people and ourselves. The good things. On your way home tonight, make sure you get yourself a little notebook. and get writing those good things. Get into the habit right away. You will benefit beyond, it's just so simple but so effective. Remember about reframing. Reframing those negative thoughts. 5 ways to well-being. Connect, learn, be active, notice and give. Okay? And cultivate resilience. Before, so right now, cultivate resilience, and maybe also afterwards, after an adverse event. And this is a nice quote from Carlos Castaneda. We either make ourselves miserable or we make ourselves happy and strong. The amount of work is the same. So feed the right wolf. Thank you very much. I'm going to be around outside for a few minutes. If anybody wants slides, please take my email address. You've got it on the little things on your chairs, on the flyer. Email me and I will gladly send you the slides because there was an awful lot on there. Okay, thank you very much.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.